It's starting. Here we are, boys. First of all, YouTubers, I apologize. We're an hour late. If you haven't done the latest Windows update, I recommend you take about an extra hour to do so. That's how long it took me. So I'm very sorry that we're an hour late. I can't get over that. I apologize for a second one. Let me do some checking and see if we're actually streaming. Yep, we're on. Okay, let's share it up on YouTube and say we're now live. Talk amongst yourselves, boys.
Take a gulp of my Mountain Dew here.
Regular diet, JR?
Diet, got it, diet.
Yep.
I'm heavy enough as it is.
Okay. We're live, gang, after some technical...
Are you putting it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind that. I was about to. So Brad saw Wonder Woman today, and they only gave it a B.
I did.
He almost told me that it was that Suicide Squad was better, and he stopped himself.
Yeah, it wasn't better than Suicide Squad. Gal Gadot is awesome, by the way.
It's Godot.
I like Gadot.
Well, I mean, it's Godot, but you know, whatever.
Well, we're all waiting for Godot, so. But we're. I don't know. I tried. We're going to see it tomorrow, I think.
All right.
The family.
Posting to Facebook. Let's take a look. Yep, we're live on Facebook too. Okay. Let me put this up here. ASM 68, is that right, JR?
Well, no, we're doing. We're in 1968, I believe. We're doing the annual number 5. That's the primary one, and then the regular Amazing 61. But we,
61. Okay.
Yeah, but Amazing 5 is the big one. We should start with that one. That's the one I've got the most.
Amazing 5. For. Okay, let me pull it up on my iPad. Let's see here. There it is.
And we may not get to, on the second show, we may not get to the Marvel team up because I haven't looked at that one at all yet. So I have a feeling by then we'll have spent enough time with each other that over the last couple of days that it won't matter.
The Marvel team up. We can talk about, you can wing that. You're good.
People are used to you phoning it in, Fenninger. It's nothing new. It's fine.
That's okay. True. I mean, after all, just if I reach a slow point, I'll just make shit up.
Yeah, I mean, you do that anyway.
We can't talk. Wait, can we not? We can't cuss again. Is that it?
Don't cuss. You did good.
All right.
There may be children watching, you know.
Well, I know we got 14 now or whatever. I guess I'm only a third as popular as the regular.
Well, the host is an hour late, so because of Windows update. So I apologize. Okay, you ready, JR?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let me. Oh, I'm not ready again. Shocking. Let's see here. Spider history. Let's click on this link and this link. Okay.
Man, I wish I could do that. I I need an electric cigarette.
No, you don't.
Did you used to smoke?
Oh, no, back in college. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's when
if I had a cigar, I would be smoking it right now.
I've never had the desire. Okay, here we go. Coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to Spider History. We're also streaming this on live YouTube as we record it, so there's a video attached. So check that out. How many people we got watching us, gang? We've got 14 people.
14, right? Yeah, 14
watching
people
us. And JR, we're headed back to 1968 with an annual that's not a reprint.
That's right. It's kind of funny because I woke up this morning and was just making the rounds on the various news sites and other things. So I click on the crawl space. Yeah. And I'm terrified by this image that shows up. It's like, oh my God, I said, don't frighten the children that way. I mean, oh my!
I
Lord.
put a
Now-
picture of JR teasing to come watch us live as we record a podcast on YouTube. Did that frighten you?
It's like now you know why I remained reclusive all of those years and didn't want to be seen. So anyway, all right, annual number 5. This was a big get for me many years ago. In fact, I'll hold it. Oh, Brad's already holding it up.
Well, it's on the iPad. This is what I've got. Marvel Unlimited. It's right there.
Oh,
But
okay.
you can hold up the original.
This is the original. See here. This is the original, and I can smell the rotting wood pulp. That's that's a great thing. That's a great thing about these old issues is that they stink.
But JR, at your age, isn't that all you smell now is rotting wood?
That and Ben Gay.
Oh my God.
Metamucil too, I think.
I know
Geritol
you don't actually smell the Metamucil. You smell the byproduct of the Metamucil.
Oh, okay.
Wow. And we're losing viewers on YouTube as we speak.
Hey, George brought up the whole age thing, so I'll just
know.
take it as far as I can go. I'll jump off.
We kind of leaned into that one.
I'll jump off the cliff with it.
You have to take it as far as you can go because at your age, every day is a blessing.
That is true, actually.
Wow.
There we are. That is true, particularly when you're married. You don't know whether you're going to die of old age or be murdered first.
Enigma wants to know if Zach can smell anything through all the alcohol.
Okay, first of all, there's no alcohol being consumed tonight because, well, we're not dealing with dance slot issues.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So the cover says, JR, twice as many pages, twice as many thrills.
Yeah, that's right. This is an interesting issue. I mean, just visually, it's just a very interesting one because of all the primary colors and the green, and Spider-Man's. We see his red and blue, and then what looks like, I don't know if anybody remember. Well, of course, this is being old. There used to be a TV show called The Time Tunnel.
Yeah.
And the protagonist, literally walked through something that looked like this.
No.
But anyway, and then this is just this is an eye-catching cover. It really is,
yeah.
and it's done by our old friend Jazzy Johnny Sr.
Yep. Beautiful looking cover.
I have a question.
What?
Is this the most Ditko-esque Romita cover you've ever seen?
It's very psychedelic, but oh my gosh, what do I see on the cover? There's no hyphen and Spider-Man special. Top left.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Brad's triggered.
Yeah. Okay. Into the shredder. This one goes.
Go
Now,
ahead.
This one, I tell you, this was a real get for me because I think I got this in the 1970s, and I think I paid an alarming $5 for it. But back then, when there was no internet, and I lived in a small town in southwestern Indiana, had no access to magazines or fandom or anything like that, and so I'd heard about Peter Parker's parents, but didn't know anything about them, not a thing. And because they weren't really talked about except in reference. Oh, my parents died when I was a toddler, blah, blah, blah. So when I saw this at the Book Broker in Evansville, Indiana, I mean, this was like treasure. It's like, oh my God, I've got to save my pennies and nickels or whatever and get this thing. This is a monumental issue. So anyway, that's kind of the history behind that one. So that's why it was a big get for me.
Nice. At JR's age, see, there was opportunity cost. If you bought a Spidey issue, then that meant less rock candy or a float at the soda fountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A whole quarter was
or
the original
baseball
cover.
cards. I mean, used to be able to buy a pack of baseball cards for 5 cents or 10 cents, and that was a big thing back then. Was the baseball cards? I spent more money on baseball cards than I did on comic books back in those days. So before I became thoroughly disenchanted with the sport. But anyway, you didn't come here to see an old man ramble about the good old days. When he walked uphill. When he walked uphill in the snow both ways to buy his comic books. So basically the issue starts out, this is classic Stanism. Okay. I've got to read the captions. Amidst the silent shadows of the mysterious Casbah. So you see Spider-Man is in Algeria at a Casbah, and he's rocking the Casbah. But his spider sense is going off, and so he says things is not kosher. All right. So, but anyway, amidst the silent shadows of the mysterious Casbah in far-off Algeria, a stealthy, superpowered figure grimly searches for. But wait, it will all be revealed in good time. Right now, Spidey senses danger, and so our saga begins. But then it's not just that. But then we have a warning. We have a warning. You know, when you finally meet our scurrilous supervillain, prepare yourself for one of the biggest surprises of the year. And this was not just written by Stan. I mean, no. Stan Lee did not just write in those days, okay? This is phantasmagorically produced by Smiling Stan Lee and Larapin Larry Lieber, who everyone knows his claim to fame is being Stan's brother.
Dan's brother, yeah. Still drawing Spider-Man to this day in the comic strip. Daily
and
comic
how old
strip.
is the guy? I mean, if Stan is 90,
well, there's a thing
this year.
Hold on, let's look it up on.
The longevity is amazing.
What's wrong?
The longevity is amazing.
Yeah, they have. He is 85.
Wow, he's a kid
younger brother.
Yeah,
Still,
he's a baby compared to Stan.
He's still drawing at 85 or whatever. I won't be at 85. I'm probably just going to be sitting and drooling. You know?
I think Sal is, isn't Sal Buscema still doing like commissions and stuff, and he's still working? I know Ramita Sr. still draws stuff every now and then.
He does?
Pretty much
I think
retired.
him and friends are doing like this Liberty. I can't remember the name of the character, but it's like a kind of a Paul Revere type character that they're doing. It's a creator owned series.
John Romita Sr. is 87. Man.
Yeah. So anyway,
but pretty much now, Ron Friends and Sal Buscema exclusively work with just each other. So Sal is pretty much Ron's exclusive inker anymore.
That's kind of cool because it's like two of my favorite artists, and they're like, you know, screw it.
Our pal Sal's 81. Okay, enough of the birthdays. Go ahead, JR. Take us through this book.
Anyway, the story opens with Spider-Man in Algiers. And, you know, like I said, he realizes things is not kosher, and he's ambushed.
Whoa, Algiers or Algeria?
Algiers. Which
okay.
I have no idea where that's the Algiers. That's got to be in Africa. It's in North Africa because a Casbah is the citadel of a North African city. So
Rock the Casbah.
He's in North Africa right now. How did he get to North Africa? Well, we won't know for a little bit, but when Spider-Man's spider sense goes off, and then he is attacked by a gang of thugs who are using watermelons to attack him. Now, watermelons. This is a watermelon attack. Now, this is the part where George would usually accuse me of making stuff up. Okay, but as you can see, Spider-Man is definitely being attacked by watermelons. Yep,
Hey,
there we go.
Man.
There it is. Look at those watermelons.
So
He's
he's being attacked by watermelons.
Wow.
All right. Well, after
That's
he kicks their butt and he chases after the ones who are still conscious, a Shriner pulls out a gun and fires.
Wait. Hold on now.
Yeah, it's a Shriner.
It's not a Shriner. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
These guys are thug criminals, and I'm not going to let you disparage the good name of the Shriners who do a lot of good work.
No. See, no, Brad, show that again. Show that again.
Hold on.
Just because you're wearing a fez doesn't mean you're a Shriner.
There you go, right there. There's.
Yeah, see, he's wearing a fez. Okay,
that doesn't mean he's a Shriner. Doctor Who, the 11th Doctor Who wore a fez, and he wasn't a Shriner.
Okay, well maybe he's what's the other one? The grotto, the grottos. You know, because you have the Freemasons, you have the Shriners, you have I think the prophets are in the grotto, I think, and you have the tall trees of cedar trees or something. So I used to study all these Masonic organizations.
Hornacek wants to know where the Shriner's little car is.
Who knew JR was part of the Illuminati?
The tall cedars of Lebanon. That's what they are. That's another offshoot of the Masons. I actually went to the Masonic Memorial in D.C. once, but anyway, that's another story. All right. So anyway, so the Shriner shoots Peter and shoots Spider
in the head.
Yeah, Spider-Man just barely gets out of the way, and so he falls into the water, and he gets himself up, and then he falls unconscious, and then we have a flashback. So all right. So anyway, this flashback, we go back to Forest Hills, and Peter is taking a trunk down to the basement for Aunt May, and as he's taking it down there, it busts open. And Peter says, "Oh man, there's all kinds of smelly old lady stuff in here. I better put it all back in before the old bat sees it, you know." And then he looks and says, "Hey, wait a minute, that guy looks like me." And it's like, whoa, it says Richard Parker, and oh my God, and that must be my old man. And oh, that chick next to him must be my old lady. And oh no, it says they were traitors to the country. It's like, well, no wonder Aunt May and Uncle Ben gave me that fish story about them being on the run because they were hiding from Norman Osborn. You know, I mean, of course that was all made up. They were really traitors to their country, and that's why they were afraid to tell me. So Peter goes and confronts Aunt May and says, well, "Why didn't you tell me about my parents?" "Oh, we were just so ashamed." You know, and we didn't want you to think bad about your parents. George is about to interject with a thought.
Really, just really quick. The exposition action JR is the best JR. This is the best of the figures, the one that actually has explaining action when you press the lever in his back.
And we don't usually see that because we don't usually do the webcams when we record this.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool.
Yeah, well, maybe I should just stop here, and maybe I should just read off my notes real monotone. But I can't do that. I have a heart attack if I try that. Anyway, so Peter goes and he says, "All right, you old bat. All right, you've been lying to my face for years. All right, about my parents. Just like I've been lying to your face all these years about me being Spider-Man. But it's okay if I lie your face because, one, I'm the lead character, and because successive generations of Spider writers have persisted in portraying you as a moron who can't figure it out." But anyway, so now we get a flashback within a flashback. So
Oh, that's true, isn't it?
So
Yeah.
you kind of got to steady yourselves on this, because
Stan was exploring the space.
Yeah. I mean, this
is like what's that Leonardo movie? DiCaprio.
The Mona Lisa attacks.
No, what? Inception.
Catch me if you can.
Inception. Thank you, Hornacek. Yeah.
Gilbert Grape.
No.
Titanic.
Yes, it's just like the Titanic movie. A double
Wolf of Wall
flashbacks. Yeah. What in
Okay.
Wall Street?
Revenant.
All right, go ahead.
So we get this flashback within a flashback. Okay. All right. Now Aunt May is remembering the day that Richard and Mary left. Okay. So, Richard's sitting there and he says, "Yeah, Ben, May, the old lady and we're going out on a vacation. We're going to spend months overseas. We're going to hit all the sites. We're going to see everything. And we are going to leave you two feeble, senile old people with an active toddler. And while we're partying, you are going to be changing his diapers." And of course, boys and girls, in those days, diapers were not disposable.
They were not.
You actually had to use cloth and you had to wash them. So, anyway.
Aren't you glad you didn't? Your kids are modern.
Yeah, we had the disposable diapers and the diaper genie. Do you have a diaper genie, Brad?
I did. Boy, that thing stunk every week. I had to take it out.
Spidey dude, did you have a diaper genie?
He's mute.
Oh, he's stunned.
Okay. We're not missing it.
All right. Well, anyway, so Peter just cannot believe what he's hearing. He just can't believe what he's hearing. And so, he says, "Well, do you know what happened? Would you know what the story was?" And she says, "Well, we kept trying to contact this guy in Algiers, this guy who ran a restaurant, and because he was the one who identified the bodies, but he never responded, So anyway, this just drives Peter crazy. He just wanders town, all miserable and everything. "Oh, my parents were traitors. Oh, my parents were traitors. I can't believe it. And he said, I got to find the truth. I got to go to Algiers myself. And I know just, how am I going to do it?" So he says, aha. So he goes to the Fantastic Four. And he asks the Fantastic Four if he can borrow one of their cool flying things. And Reed says, "Funny you should mention it because your benefactor and your sugar daddy, Tony Stark, developed this flying saucer thing, this flying saucer thingy for S.H.I.E.L.D., and he wants me to test it since I am, of course, the smartest man on the planet. And it'll get there before you need to take a pee. So how's if I give you a ride?" Anyway, so Reed takes Spider-Man flies him to Algiers and then drops him off. Right? So then Spider-Man proceeds to search for this dude who Aunt May said identified the bodies. See, now he's a different kind of Shriner because he's got a different colored
Oh
fez.
my God!
And so anyway, so Spider-Man, he finds this guy, and when he confronts him, that guy says, "By the beard of the prophet."
Okay, here,
Now-
there, I got it right there. By the beard of the prophet. There
Now
you
you got to, now you're thinking, now Stan Lee is a guy who does his research, and he is not one who is given to, using cliches or, using things that have absolutely no basis in fact, so I decided to Google by the beard of the prophet to see if that is actually what Muslims used to say or do say when they swear. And it says, in Western historical fictions, Muslims are often depicted to swear by the beard of the prophet. But this is a classic case of false depiction.
What?
Whoa.
They never said that?
No. Oh, there is no evidence supporting that any Muslim in recorded history used that swear. Oh, Stan.
He must be
Stan.
lying that a dude can climb walls and stick to them too.
Oh, this is worse than finding out that when Jerry Conway wrote that earthquake in New York issue with team up with Hercules, that he didn't actually research the fact that New York City did have earthquakes and things. This is just I'm heartbroken. Stan,
Can you continue? Are you
I
okay?
don't know. To find out that Stan fudged things is kind of disheartening. But anyway, so Spider-Man interrogates this guy, and he says, "All right, did you know this guy? Did you know Richard Parker? Remember back to the early the days after World War II?" So I'm thinking, whoa, World War II. So if Peter was a toddler in just after World War II, holy cow, he's got to be 70 years old by now. I mean, it says World War II, and
Where does it say World War II? Let's see.
oh gosh, now I'm not making this up.
You're not.
Okay,
yeah.
so he
Found
burst.
it. Here's the panel.
Yeah,
Here's the
he's
panel.
holding up the guy with the fez. Okay, the Shriner.
Right there.
Not a
There you go.
Shriner.
and he says, "Now I want you to think back to the early days after World War II. There was a plane crash. 2 Americans were killed, and a restaurant owner identified the bodies. And the guy says, it was I, I swear." So anyway, so Spidey has got to be 70 years old.
Bam.
Anyway, just all kinds. This is just all kinds of secrets are being unveiled in this one, folks. Anyway, Spider-Man interrogates the guy. Says, I knew this Richard Parker, and I knew that he was a spy. Everybody knew he was a spy for the local supervillain. No one knows the local supervillain's name, but he's a supervillain, okay? But I can tell you where he lives. I don't know his name. I know where he grocery shops. I know where he eats. I know where his friends are, but I don't know his name. Okay.
I know the women he loves.
But he doesn't know his name. So anyway, so Spider-Man goes to the address, and he finds an office. And
it looks like he's looking through long boxes. Look at this.
Well,
We're looking
exactly.
we're looking for annual number 5. Which one long box would that be in?
But before see, the thing is, he decides to search, and he's putting his fingers all over the place, and he comes up with a magic button. He presses the button, and then a door opens, and all these filing cabinets are there. Okay, so this local supervillain, who we find out is the Red Skull, obviously. Peter is going through this. It's like the old card catalog at the library, so Spearman, is like, he's looking through, I'm looking for this particular book written by so-and-so. Crap, somebody's already checked it out. Anyway, the Red Skull burst in on him. And the thing is, I can't tell, is this Red Skull Italian or German? Because
I don't know. Look
Yes.
at that outfit. Look at that outfit, man.
I mean, he was,
He's the German, yeah.
was it in that great movie though? Wasn't he an Italian?
No.
Oh, you're talking about the 90s Captain America movie?
Oh, no one counts.
He was Italian, yeah.
You're a
Yeah,
horrible
he was-
person.
So anyway, this just gets me that the Skull has a desk, an office, and there's his phone. I mean, what does he do? What does the Skull do all day? And he's got this filing cabinet back. So what? He's sitting there, the phone rings, and he goes, "Yeah, Red Skull here." Said, "Oh, you need You need an assassin in Mexico? Well, let me see if I have one. So then he turns around, he looks in his filing cabinet. Yeah, got this guy right here or whatever. When do you need him? So, I mean, come on. It's the Red Skull. Anyway, so the Red Skull's there in a smoking. Why is the Red Skull in a smoke? Well, I know he's smoking, kind of like George is actually. But it's like I don't know. It's like Dean Martin, in a skull mask.
Welcome to the Red Skull roast.
The chat is referring to him as Hugh Hefner.
Oh, Hugh Hefner. Red Skull has tech support, says we're a sec.
So anyway, the Red Skull says, "Well, I've heard of you, Spider-Man, but you're not worth wiping my butt with. So I'm going to bring out Sandor, and Sandor is going to kick your butt. And of course, Sandor's this big bald guy, and he lumbers around, more arthritically than the Gorn in the original Star Trek series.
He's like Tor Johnson, from like the old B-50 movies, And look at the way he's got his hands. That's total Kirby, like I'm a wrestler, like coming at you.
Anyway, so Spider-Man makes quick work of him because he only has one name, Sandor. And guys like that with just one name. Now, like Man Mountain Marco, he's harder to beat because he's got three. Sandor, one name, easy as pie.
So if Spider-Man were to fight Cher, he could turn back time.
God.
Oh my God.
He's dropping the mic.
No.
JR's leaving.
Oh, you're putting the Febreze. That one hurt, huh?
God, get the stench of that joke out of here.
You need an inner filter, Brad.
If I could
you and not to say
time.
He doesn't want us to cuss, but he's more than willing to tell these terrible, offensive jokes. Anyway.
6 Degrees of Spider-Man and Cher.
Stop.
Remember Zimmerman that wrote the Get Craven miniseries? He dated Cher.
Yes, which I brought up on one of the podcast ones.
Well,
but anyway.
So that's how you learned it. Brad was through JR.
I guess so. I'm bringing it back to JR.
But anyway, going back to the Red Skull's filing cabinet, so Spider-Man is looking through the filing cabinet, and there's a file on Richard Parker, and he pulls out his dad's secret ID card to this villainous organization. It's like, he's like, you join the bad guy organization or whatever, and you get an official membership card. So he's got so Richard Parker has an official evil membership card. So. Anyway, so Spider-Man, he's just really bummed out. Oh, man, my dad was a traitor. My dad really was. How am I going to live this down? Blah, blah, blah. Everybody at the superhero watering hole, is going to be making fun of me. But in one of those, now, what happens next here is the Skull decides to call in the Finisher. Because the Finisher finishes things. He finishes people off. Now, the Finisher is the answer to one of those old Spider Jeopardy questions.
Wow.
Yes. Back, back before George ascended to the MC throne, because of his perfect record as far as winning Spider Jeopardy, he became the MC. But before that time period, Bertoni did it, and he had a category called Spider-Man Killed a Guy. And basically what happens is the Finisher, he has a Spider-Man got part of his costume ripped off, so the Finisher is able to do a spectroanalysis on the costume and track Spider-Man down, and so he sends like these heat-seeking missiles after Spider-Man. But so Spidey decides to head right back to the Finisher's car, duck, and then the missile blows the Finisher up. So that was why he was the answer to Spider-Man. One of the Spider-Man killed a guy, but he's not dead yet. He's not dead yet, but he isn't getting any better. So he says, well, tell me all about Richard Parker. You're dying or whatever. And the guy says, sure, I'm dying. Why not? I might as well have this dramatic deathbed confession. And so he tells Spidey that it was all a setup, that Parker actually betrayed the Red Skull. And so the Red Skull had him killed. And so Spider-Man says, well, that's great. I know that now, but I can't prove it. So I got to go back to the Skull's filing cabinet and see what I can find there. So Oh, actually, I forgot there that the finisher tells him how he rigged the Parker's plane. They were the Red Skull had sent him to deliver some important paper somewhere, but the Red Skull knew he was betraying him. So the finisher fixed the plane, and the plane goes down. Boom. Spider-Man goes back, confronts the Red Skull. There's this Titanic superhero supervillain attack fight. Everything blows up, but in the heat of the fire, in the heat of the battle, there's a seam that opens in the special supervillain ID card. And
Then the first seal was broken.
And within the special supervillain ID card is Richard Parker's actual U.S. government ID card.
Oh,
wow.
there you go.
Wow. And
now that's impressive spy work right there. Richard Parker hiding his real ID in a place that could be easily found.
what the fact is,
but Spider-Man sure is excited to see it. Look at that. Yeah, boy.
I just can't get over the fact that he's packing spy IDs. It's like, here's my spy ID for the U.S. government, but here's my spy ID for the Red Skull. Ooh, I don't want my government ID to be found, so I'll hide it in my Red Skull gang ID.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, though, Spider-Man, he has something dramatic to say at the very end. Okay. He says, I've redeemed my father's honor. I've cleared his name. Never again will I bemoan my secret identity or toy with the thought of giving it up until issue number 100, when I decide to grow myself 4 extra arms. But until then, I'm not going to consider giving it up. So, and then Stan ends the story, and so the quest is ended. The prize is won. The long-dead past has yielded its half-forgotten secret to a youth who wouldn't surrender, who wouldn't lose the faith. The road has been long and the battle bitter, but now in this one brief moment of eternity... What? Wait a minute. This one brief moment of eternity. The pounding heart of Peter Parker is flushed with victory, is filled with pride, such as few men before him have ever known. The end. Hyperbole much, Stan? Isn't that supposed to be the other way around? Isn't the male supposed to be humping the female from behind?
Whoa. For those audio listeners, Zach's playing with his action figures. If you can't.
Yeah, it's prop time now, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but this issue also had a lot of other
I'm listening.
You're distracting.
I'm distracting the YouTube people. It's not, and I'm not distracting you.
Maybe they're trying to listen to JR, which is the whole purpose of being here.
Or maybe Zach is implying that they're bored by me, so he has to have these he has to do these vulgar little prop shows,
Boy, we're fighting like
why don't we have this as another segment? Why don't we have this as another segment? We got My Spider History, we have George's Fight Club, and we can have Zach's porn figures. Where,
Whoa.
Zach uses Spider-Man figures.
All right. So my question to you, JR.
Let's get off that subject.
Yeah. What do you think of this issue? I mean, I don't think this is the Everman that has spies as parents.
No. This is one of those things that it's not really. I don't know if that was a story that needed to be told, particularly. Again, you're right. I mean, it's like, here we thought that Peter Parker was the hero who could be you. Spider-Man was the hero who could be you. But if you just happen to be the son of secret agents, but I guess Stan figured that, people were asking probably what happened to Peter's parents. Mm-hmm. So he figured that he might as well make it a story. And he couldn't very
charge
well
a quarter for it instead of
instead of like 12 cents, he wanted to charge a whole quarter for it. So, it couldn't be, them getting in a car wreck or anything like that. I mean, who's going to pay a quarter to read that story? So then we've got to do this.
We paid $10 to hear him, have a very convoluted plane ride of death. So I mean, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Anybody?
One thing that I had a reservation about this story is having the Red Skull involved, which is a Captain America villain.
It's not the real Red Skull.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not the real Red Skull. Okay. Fill us in, Zach.
Fill us in.
Because I don't know. That's why I'm saying fill us in.
Okay,
you gave the impression of knowing, so now you're on the spot.
No, this is actually the second Red Skull. My understanding is this is not the original Red Skull. The original Red Skull had a battle with Cap and was not brought back until years later. But this was technically the second Red Skull, so the skull itself is not actually his face; it's a mask.
Oh, okay. So, what would you have preferred? Stan used someone that was older and already in the Spider lore as a villain. I don't know.
Well,
no, you like the Red Skull aspect?
Well, the story's almost 50 years old. I mean, it's one of those things. It is what it is. You know, the story is what it is. You know, who cares at this point in time? Who cares? And you know, I mean, you know, Stan was trying to tell a special story, so he brought in a special villain.
Yeah.
You know, because he was, you know, in a way, he again, this kind of was counterintuitive to the fact that Peter Parker is supposed to be the everyman. You know, his old man was a spy who also happened to be a double agent, who also happened to work for the Red Skull at one time, who happens to be Captain America's deadliest enemy, who happened to be played by Hugo Weaving, who then won't show up in any more movies because he got a case of the elites or whatever. So anyway.
So
you know, everybody else has fun playing a Marvel villain, but you know, Hugo Weaving decides to get on his high horse and say
he didn't like it, I guess. Yeah.
Until he started seeing how much money everybody was making, he's like, "Oh, you know, I might actually be open to coming back for another round as the Red Skull."
Yeah, I mean, when Willem Dafoe played the Green Goblin, he showed up at the red carpet wearing a green suit. You know, I mean, it was he was thoroughly enjoying it, and that was even before it became vogue to be playing a supervillain. But anyway.
So we've got one more issue that came out in 1968.
Well, wait.
I'm sorry. You have something else?
Well, I don't know that I have anything else, but remember, this is a special issue, so it's got special backup features.
Oh, okay, yeah. It does have some stuff.
You know, so we have a special pinup, A Day at the Daily Bugle. For no particular reason. I mean, it's just a day at the Daily Bugle.
And no, I'm not doing my Jonah voice because I have other people in the house, and then yeah, that wouldn't work.
And then we have Peter Parker, the super sports star, where we imagine Peter imagines himself as a baseball player climbing up the flagpole. You know, a football player, and he's playing without a helmet, which explains a lot of things. A javelin thrower. Ooh, and then here we go, an advertisement now in full color. Look at that. An advertisement for the original Spectacular Spider-Man #2, starring you-know-who.
Oh, let's see that one. I can't see that one.
You don't have the ads in your...
no, they've edited the ads out. And by the way, I'm still loading. The app doesn't like going back.
So you don't also get this cool Norman Rockwell ad on the back cover.
And you know, another thing with Marvel Unlimited, they put in some of them when they were scanning, but they've eliminated the letters pages, which I love looking at the letters pages.
Yeah, that kind of...
There's other stuff in here of Spider-Man as like other characters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. First of all, and Dick Tracy and Little Abner.
And winds up being prophetic there on that second page.
Let's see. Oh, the Mickey Mouse Spider-Man? Yeah. Nice.
Oh, and there's Archie. So, and then actually there's an amusing three-page story. Here we go, a plotting, which is supposedly how Stan Lee and John Romita come up with plots for Spider-Man. So it's an amusing little story. And Roy Thomas shows up at the very end and steals their ideas. So, all right, Brad.
Okay,
there we go. Continue.
We've got ASM 61 came out in June of 1968. By Stan Lee and Don Heck and John Romita Sr.
Yeah, this was actually a rather insignificant issue, except for one particular footnote or it's now become a footnote in my history, at least.
Okay.
This is the issue that I used to explain the course of events that resulted in this Events of Sins Past. So issue number 61, because as you recall, when J. Michael Straczynski did the story, and there's the cover, and Peter was supposed to be the father of Gwen's twins, and Joe Quesada said, "We can't do that." So JMS had to hurriedly change the father to Norman Osborn, but he didn't do a backstory. So you're sitting there wondering, why in the world would Norman and Gwen, do the nasty? But anyway. so this was so I use this story to come up with an explanation. But anyway, the story actually began in issue number 59, the brand of the brainwasher. Okay, now it starts off. Mary Jane has a job at the Gloom Room a Go-Go, because that's where hip people went in the 60s. And so she's a dancer there in a sparkly little outfit, and she's given a camera, and she says, a whole bunch of hoity-toity, or no, she's told a whole bunch of important people are going to be there, and they like to have their picture taken. So you go around, little red-headed girl, and take these people's picture. And so she does that. But what happens is then they hypnotize them. They put suggestions in their head, and that's how the brainwasher controls them. And one of these people is Captain Stacy, and it turns out that the brainwasher, quote unquote, is actually the kingpin. And the kingpin is using Dr. Winkler of the infamous Winkler device to brainwash these people into doing the kingpin's bidding. So, we do issue 59, issue 60. This is also where Captain Stacy tries to beat Peter up with his cane, and Peter, and Peter shoves him to the ground. You old fool, stay away from me. Gwen walks in on it, and Gwen hates Peter now. Regardless of the fact that her old man tried to bash his skull in, she now hates Peter. But then, starting in issue number 61, all right, because Peter actually took a picture of, in the prior issue, he took a picture of Captain Stacy leading a bunch of goons into the police station and stealing a bunch of files. So Spider-Man happened to take a picture. It gets on the Bugle's front page. Gwen finds out, oh, gee, Dad, you're really in deep here. We got to get away. They try to get away, but the Kingpin's goons kidnap them and take them back to Osborne Chemical. Now,
Okay.
all right, because Winkler actually works for Osborne. And anyway, Norman has found out that Winkler has been buying equipment without his authorization. And so he goes to confront him, and Winkler says, oh, you were out of town. You're probably, throwing pumpkin bombs around or whatever. And so I had to order this stuff. And then Norman says, all right, but don't do it again. Of course, then the Kingpin comes up. It's a good thing he really didn't suspect her. I did, blah, 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 blah. And so anyway, they bring the Kingpin's goons bring Captain Stacy and Gwen to the Osborne chemical plant, because, as the Kingpin suggests, no one's going to look for them in a chemical plant because, one, Osborne is too busy, and two, no one's going to suspect that a crime lord has taken up, I don't know, comic book logic, folks, comic book logic. So anyway, but this time, see, Norman's having all kinds of flashbacks. He's looking at, he's reading the paper, and it says, oh, tonight a documentary on the Green Goblin. And of course, Norman starts getting into the, what George calls them, the crazy sweats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The crazy sweats. George,
it's similar to the meat sweats, but with crazy.
yeah. So he gets in the crazy sweats. So anyway, so Norman's leaving work, and he happens to notice that the light is still on in Winkler's laboratory. And it's like, I told that SOB to turn the lights off when he left after every night. It's like, my electric bill is going through the roof because of this dumb SOB or whatever. So I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to turn those lights off myself.
Man, take a look at Winkler, by the way. It's just a creepy dude, isn't he?
Kind of looks like the old character actor David Wayne in a way.
Mm.
So
He looks like Phil Silver's younger criminal brother. Only JR and I get that.
I'm over my
You
head.
know who Phil Silvers is? You don't know who Phil Silvers was?
Phil Silvers. He was a great comedian at the time. In fact, he's been confused for the Dalai Lama in China. Somebody was wearing a Phil Silvers shirt on the Sergeant Bilko shirt on the Great Wall, and the Chinese authorities tried to arrest him because they thought it was a picture of the Dalai Lama.
Oh, Sergeant Bilko, Hornacek says. Okay.
No, I just said Sergeant Bilko.
Oh, you did? Okay, got it.
I did.
Not the
Hornacek. Wait a minute. This is my show, Hornacek. Are you trying to steal my thunder?
The OG Silver.
Holy
Sergeant
cow.
Bilko.
Zach lowered his chair. He doesn't want stuff's going down or crying or doing hanky-panky. Holy cow, what are you guys talking about?
They were talking about Zach. He lowered his
Wait a
chair.
minute,
couldn't
They
see
were
him.
obsessed with
has
Zach
big
going off
package.
camera, and all we could see was the top of his head. Literally, that was like
How can
30
you see the
minutes.
big package?
For the record, I
like half an hour of chat.
Holy cow. Well, see, I've just been focused on my job. So anyway. Anyway. See, I was supposed to entertain you people, and here you are having this conversation behind my back. Anyway.
It's all good.
So,
By the way,
you know,
not digging the Don Heck art. He was originally an Iron Man artist, wasn't
I think so.
he? Yeah, just not digging it. I mean, coming off of John Romita Sr., you're going to be disappointed.
So anyway, but Spider-Man, you know, he goes back to the Gloom Room a Go-Go because he figures that's where everything started going wrong with Captain Stacy, and it's abandoned. You know, everybody, you know, of course, you know, the mobsters or whether they use it for their purposes and they abandon it, they bail out, or like in Goodfellas, they just burn it down. So anyway, Spider-Man starts ripping things apart, and he finds this panel, and it says Osborne Laboratories. So, you know, whenever you know are building, you know, secret spyware for mobsters, you always proudly put your brand right there on it. So
Yeah.
anyway, so Spider-Man says, well, this must mean that everybody's at Osborne Laboratories. So that's where he goes. And he bursts in and he confronts the Kingpin and Winkler and beats the crap out of the Kingpin. But Winkler has a gun poised on Captain Stacy and Gwen. Then Norman shows up to turn the lights out. And then Norman sees it. He says, good Lord. Says, you know, what's been going on at my place under my nose? I didn't authorize any of this. You know, it's holy cow. It's something like what weird bondage stuff going on in here. You know, holy cow. What are these people doing? So anyway, and why aren't I getting a cut since it's on my premises? But
It's funny because Brad is trying to show on like the iPad or something, and like every time he does it, like it's either on the tiny box that no one can see, or it's for like half a second when it actually flashes up.
Oh, I guess I should clear my throat or something like that so people can see it but then
or maybe just start talking. You don't have to clear your throat. Just say, "Oh, and here's the art, and this is what it looks like."
We'll figure it out.
That's funny.
So anyway, so Osborne.
By the way, those in the chat room, Zach had to reboot his computer. Zach will be back shortly.
Well, if it takes as long as it took you or whatever, he won't be back until
an hour. Yeah,
an hour or so.
Windows is going crazy this weekend.
So, but anyway, so Norman, you know, jumps on Winkler and distracts him, and so Spider-Man is able to save the day.
Suddenly, I got like a Spidey and Fonzie slash fic in my head.
Yeah, Winkler. So anyway, so Norman is the big hero, and so I speculated that that is what brought Gwen to his door that one time. You know, to say thank you, because as you can tell, it was all chaos there. And Norman's going, "Oh, I'm having crazy sweats. I'm thinking of being a supervillain, blah blah blah." And you know, so Gwen didn't have a chance to talk to him. So that's what
but look, Gwen looks quite impressed at how much Norman has kicked butt there. Look at her turning her head. Wow. Anyway, alas, I'm making.
Are you done?
Up. I'm done. Hit it.
All right. So that's what
Well, I'm going to jump. I found another panel that can prove your theory also. But go ahead.
Well, I was just about done. I was about to put a nice, pretty bow on it. But if you want to, jump in, and,
all right,
steal my thunder again.
Look at this panel. Look at Gwen Stacy looking lovingly at Norman Osborn right there.
She's talking about how they all owe their lives to Spider-Man, Brad. She's not.
But who's she looking at?
No, you're stretching here. You're Stretch Armstrong right now. You're Stretch Armstrong on a rack.
All right.
So anyway, but that's the end. You know, that's the end. Norman's testimony exonerates Captain Stacy, and the day is saved, and that is Amazing Spider-Man number 61.
So, good month or bad month? What do you think?
Well, it was a fair. We have a classic Amazing Spider-Man Annual, even though it was rather hokey and corny or whatever, and classic Stan Lee. It's still a classic story. It's definitely worth having in your collection. It's still canon, obviously, about Peter's parents and where they, what happened to them. And, you get the Kingpin and Norman Osborn and, so, yeah, it's a good month.
Cool. All right. Before we wrap this up, any questions from the YouTubers watching us live right now?
If any of them are still awake.
That you would like. There's 14 of them that stayed with us. What would you like to hear, gang?
That stayed with us.
Stayed with us.
So in other words, I'm only about a third as popular as the regular show.
No, I'm to blame.
Yeah,
I'm to blame because we started so long. Actually,
Why?
Bill Gates is to blame.
Either that, or Ashley has a much bigger following than I gathered, and when she's not here, people don't tune in. So
Michael Reed wants to know, how was your day, JR?
I don't know. I spent most of it napping like a typical old man. So
God, that sounds fun.
it is when you get to
I
my
didn't
age.
get a nap today.
Trust me.
Yeah.
You didn't
No,
get a
and there
nap?
isn't anything else to live for. A good nap is pretty well it.
Alex Stiff says, no question, just a thank you.
And Hornacek also says we only had 1 day notice that we were doing this, so that I gave the other group a week.
Way to phone it in, Hornacek.
Yeah.
When is the next Spider history? It just so happens, Enigma, there's one coming up next. All right.
But one that I'm not nearly as prepared for.
Alex says, I love JR and George hates Brad.
Fuck it, Douglas.
All right. All right. You ready for the next one? Let's see. We're going to, let me pull it up. It's 194.
Were you just beatboxing? What the hell is that?
Wiggle. Let's see here.
Oh, God.
Let's start with the annuals on this one.
Okay. I've got. You want to start with Amazing first, Annual 13, and then the spec? Okay.
That's the first part of the story.
Okay, let me pull it up on my iPad. Annual. I wonder if this is on the iPad. Nope, I don't have this one to follow along with you, JR.
Aha! So you won't be periodically interrupting me with fuzzy images.
I got your fuzzy.
Fuzzy images.
I have it in the long box back there. I could pull it out, I guess.
Oh,
Brad, did you get? Brad,
I do not want anything out of your long box.
Did you get my text?
Yeah, I told the group that you're rebooting your computer.
Everybody was grief-stricken.
Spectacular
really?
Spider-Man Annual 1. I don't think that one's on the Marvel Unlimited either. Let's see. Is PPSM. There we go. Annual. We only have 1 annual available to us on Unlimited, and that would be well, you can't see it. It's the 4th one with Aunt May's origin. I remember that one.
Oh, apparently I
Aunt
missed you.
May's origin. Mr. and Mrs. Riley got together, and boom, there was Aunt May.
No, I'm talking about when she was dating that crook before Uncle Ben. Okay.
Missed you beatboxing there, Brad?
You'll see it on the YouTube clip.
Oh dear.
Yep. Okay, you ready, JR?
Sure, why not?
All right. YouTubers, are you ready? This is the outtakes you don't usually get to see. So Hornacek's talking about, we've already seen that. That was called Trouble with Aunt May and Uncle Ben.
Yeah, but that wasn't Aunt May's origin. That was Peter's spurious origin. So
gross.
Oh,
Gross.
that escalated quickly.
Okay, coming down 3.
Spurious is an actual. What the hell is wrong?
here we go. All right, SPU. Little grammar lesson here for George. English lesson. Spurious, not being what it purports to be, false or fake.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a legitimate word, and they're acting like it's dirty.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Did you not understand where I was coming from?
The spur, I thought was referring.
No, that has nothing to do with what he was talking
Yeah,
about.
because yeah.
Apparently not actually valid.
Okay, so we're good. All right.
Okay, coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our July Spider history. We're going back to 1979, JR, and we're going to look at Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 13, written by Marv Wolfman and John Byrne.
Yeah, a little background here. I realized after I committed to this month that there was a very old Spider history, podcast number 73, where we actually talked about July 1979. But we didn't talk about very much. That was back before Spider history found its footing. So it was more or less Brad asking, does anybody remember these issues? And we'd say yes, no, or whatever, and then we'd move on. And that was when the entire podcast. We would cover news, we would cover reviews, we would cover spider history, we would cover message board questions, and it would be all done in about an hour and a half, and that was it.
Wow, I don't remember doing it that way. That's crazy. You're giving me history of the podcast, and I was on it.
Well, Brad, we know you forget what you had for lunch yesterday, so I mean it's not surprising.
Lunch yesterday. But it was a sandwich and some chips. Okay, got it.
but usually I try to avoid going back.
Did you like the spider history inside a bigger show? I like the separate episodes.
Well, it's funny because originally spider history was it was all of us that we would talk, and it would just be, do you remember this issue? Spider history really, it took, and I'm trying to think here, it took. We started doing them in January 2009.
Wow.
With podcast number 59. Now, see, the reason is, boys and girls, I have all the spider histories that we've ever done.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know. I've never seen the flow chart of it. Look at that.
Plotted the chart. And the reason I do that, I do this is because Brad is the one who comes up with the ideas, and Brad doesn't do his homework or his research. Like any. I mean, you would expect the newsman to do that, but Brad doesn't do. He's a special kind. He's a special kind of newsman. He can't pronounce words correctly. He can't remember anything, and he doesn't do his research. So, and he's from Missouri, which votes for dead people.
Brad is so triggered right now.
There's a lot of self-editing going on right now. Yes, Enigma. Shots have been fired. Yes, they have. Wait till we get through the show. Okay, go ahead, JR.
But anyway, Spider. It took us a while. I mean, like I said, the podcast was we did everything in an hour and a half. Yeah. And then it just
I miss those days.
Well, originally the podcast was just 3 people. It was just Brad and you and the late Kevin Cushing,
who is not actually dead, but okay, he's dead to us.
But he never got anywhere on time, so he's the late Kevin Cushing.
I thought I was always the one that was late.
But back then he didn't want to be known by his real name, so we called him Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was Spidey Dude.
Yeah. So anyway, so you guys were it for 2 episodes, and then Brad got this weird idea.
You're the Captain America of the damn show because by about the 3rd or 4th episode you came in.
Anyway, but Brad was experimenting with ideas and things of that nature, so he came up with spider history
and hallucinogenic drugs.
And it was, I didn't start using those until actually the Joey Z, but anyway, so spider history was usually very brief, very quick. Did we remember these episodes or issues? And so we would just go through them real quick. Sometimes it was like, does anybody remember reading it? No? Okay. Well, that was spider history, folks. And then slowly it kind of found its way, and my ego kind of took over the whole concept.
Shocking.
Your ego. This is.
And you're a living planet, JR.
Yeah. Wow. And,
you're going to be played by Kurt Russell.
Well, hey, that's not a bad. I don't have a problem with that. Either Jeff Bridges or Kurt Russell. I'm not complaining. But anyway, it wasn't until we did the issue with the Hypno Hustler that it started to find its way, that I actually started to kind of figure out what to do with it. And then finally, a few months later, the classic Joey Z is when we finally we finally kind of locked it down to what spider history was going to be.
Hornacek says Spencer is Star-Lord.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, that's nice.
That means that someday Spencer has to blow you up.
Yeah, well, his mother will probably do it first. So but anyway, I said, but anyway, I think was that the first time on this one, because I have a fan who hates it, who loves it when I say, but anyway, about 10 times a podcast. So what the point I was making was eventually we probably will go back and redo some of those old months, because we really didn't talk about these issues.
So for the record, officially, we're retreading previous content now.
Yes, we are. Well, I did yes and no, because we did not discuss the annuals. We did not discuss the annuals because
we don't do that on Friday Night Fights.
The bus. JR has been thrown underneath it.
He deserves it.
Well, no, you don't do them on Friday Night Fights. That's why we have to do them on Spider History to do them right. So anyway,
In this
How do we
corner,
do it? The name of it is Friday Night Fight. And all we do is focus on the fight. I mean, we don't give all the other boring crap. We focus on what's important, on beating ass.
I think
no,
this,
actually the reason they don't focus on the other stuff is because they can't make it interesting. Whereas in Spider History, we make it interesting. So
George has just made this a Friday Night History fight. And Zach and I are spectators.
George he has never forgiven me for Secret Wars #1. He has never forgiven me for exposing the lie that Secret Wars is.
Oh
Man.
Hornacek says, the shade. Alex goes, ow.
Anyway, I still owe you taking over your show at some point because it's mine. So that's going to happen at a time of my choosing, Fettinger. At a time of my choosing.
And then the quickening will happen. And all of a sudden, Queen will start playing in the background.
But we didn't used to do the annuals because they didn't happen necessarily happen as part of a particular month. And then Brad, because he was so entranced with Atlantis Attacks, he said, we need to start doing the annuals. We never talk about the annuals. We need to talk about the annuals. And he says, and I want to start out with Atlantis Attacks because that was such a great story. And it was all across 4 Spider-Man annuals, even though it wasn't coherent whatsoever. It was like you could read all 4 of them and have no idea what was going on.
Did you just like a mini stroke? Was that what that was? That pause?
The thing that I like about bad stories and you telling them is it makes it very funny. So you trying to explain Atlantis Attacks is awesome.
Right now is he's explaining his rationale behind everything. Everything is for Brad's benefit. If it doesn't tickle his fancy, we don't do it.
Well, unfortunately, he is the one who writes the checks. So
yeah. Unless you become a member of the Patreon, and then somebody else is writing him checks.
Like they say, the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules. But
Brad has no gold.
I have a platform, and we can all play in the sandbox. Yeah.
He did before he got married and had children. So.
Whoa! Let's get on with this stupid annual. Oh my God!
Now he's a pauper.
Wow.
I got your pauper.
He was a former prince, and now he's a pauper.
My goodness. ASM 13 Annual 1979 go.
Yes, so we didn't do the annual. So anyway, so this one actually I remember this because a lot of times annuals.
I would hope so. You're about to cover it. I hope you remember it.
Well, it's right here. It's right here in front of me. You see? I mean, and I can show you this, unlike Brad, because I don't rely on fancy computer technology. I go to the source. I picked this up off the, off the spinner rack.
I picked this off the spinner rack too. What's the cover price on this, by the way? Because I remember I had to do extra chores for it. It was an annual.
I tell you, inflation had ravaged the country by then. Okay,
79.
Because in '68, the annual, which was a king-sized annual, was 25 cents, but by 1979, it had exponentially increased to 75 cents.
No,
so you had to come up with 3 times as much to get a Spider-Man.
So irregular comics were like 40 and 50 cents, I think.
Probably so. 35. Actually, 35.
I was gonna say we should just blame Jimmy Carter for that.
But by this time, with the inflation and everything, remember we talked about last month. We talked about opportunity costs. So this time you had to choose between buying like a 75-cent comic or like a book of stamps. Today, the opportunity cost is you can buy, everything Marvel puts out in a month, or make a car payment, or pay rent in some cases.
Yeah,
and that's only if you don't buy the variants. So,
yeah.
All right. Anyway, this was an original story. Because I think the previous one, number 12, wasn't number 12, Brad, annual, a reprint of Amazing 119 and 120, the Spider-Man fight with the Hulk?
Yes, it was. It had a new burn image on the front, which was awesome. But it was a reprint. They've been reprints, I think, from like 5 to this one, haven't they?
Well,
Aren't they
issue
reprints?
number one was number one was an original story. That was the first
So
Sinister
it's, so it's
Six.
2.
Yeah, and then I think 2 and 3 were reprints. 4.
No, 2 was Doctor Strange Ditko.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh, Benedict Cumberbatch's debut. So anyway, number 9 was a reprint because it was a reprint of Spec number 2. But anyway, number 13, it was written by Marv Wolfman, who was a regular writer on Amazing Spider-Man at that time, and it's got pencils by John Byrne. And these are actually one of the reasons I decided to go with this month. I don't notice art much, but this has a real kind of a dark crime noir type feel to it. It's really some pretty good pencils. But the story starts out with an evil gangster by the name of Jimbo, who looks like he could be played by Hugh Jackman because he's got the chops of Hugh Jackman. He gets in a fight with somebody who he's claiming is a snitch and throws the other guy out the window, and this guy dies. All right. So then the scene shifts to a secret underground layer in the New York subway system. Now, this secret subway underground layer is right next to movie Richard Parker's secret subway underground layer. That was an Amazing Spider-Man number 2, which George vividly pointed out during our review of that movie. He was particularly offended by Richard Parker's secret lair,
especially because it has like Windows 95. and he apparently had time to upload a video to Windows 95 before his screen crashed. And I'm like, no, because Windows 95, Jack, that takes hours to process and upload a video.
So does Windows.
Well, how
10,
long was
man.
that flight there, Berryman?
Dude, he did it like in a matter of seconds in the movie. I called BS all over that, and rightly so.
So anyway, Doc Ock is here. And he's with a bunch of his goons, and he's ranting and raving like supervillains are known to rant and rave because his nefarious plans have been stolen. He's got some grand scheme because he's Dr. Octopus, and his plans have been stolen. Well, they say, hey, well, it had to be the guy with the Hugh Jackman mutton chops or whatever that took it. I mean, Jimbo. And Dr. Octopus says, yeah, I never trusted Jimbo. We gotta go find Jimbo. So anyway, Spider-Man is fighting crooks in a web house. Spider-Man fights a bunch of thugs in a warehouse, and this federal agent shows up, and he won't give him his name. He's a federal agent. Says, you need to investigate this murder. And there is this FBI or this Secret Service agent that was murdered. His employer thinks it was suicide. You've got to prove it wasn't suicide and it was murder. Yeah, right. And who are you to give me orders? So, but the guy says, well, go to this guy's funeral. The guy who died, go to his funeral and think about it. So Peter does, and sees this secret agent's or this Secret Service agent's family there. They're burying him, and he's overhears that, oh, they'll never get the insurance now because they think he committed suicide. So Peter goes home, and he's sitting at home, and he's thinking, well, golly, that is kind of a crappy thing that happened to these people. Maybe I should help out. And then the agent that confronted him just walks in and says, you're going to help me now, aren't you? And Peter says, what the heck are you doing here? Why are you here? And the agent says, well, let's not fool around anymore. And he, rips open Peter's jacket and shows that he's Spider-Man. So he knows he's Spider-Man. So in this long, through these various convoluted events, this agent keeps pointing Spider-Man to the action. To where this Jimbo is, to where Dr. Octopus is. This agent keeps showing up, and really, you can see where this is going already. But this agent keeps pointing to where, well, that's a nice figure. Certainly better than that Hulk Goblin one. So, as the agent leads Spider-Man around town, taking him to these various locations, he finds out that this Jimbo has plans for this super weapon, and so he needs to break into this warehouse and steal parts for this super weapon. Well, Peter, at this point in time, decides he needs to go undercover as Kid Parker, the dude with the baby fist, the baby face, and fists of steel. So, and so anyway, so he ingratiates himself to this gang, and Dr. Octopus shows up looking for Jimbo, and this is where Dr. Octopus recognizes Peter and says, "Oh, by the way, you know, I got tired of conning your videoed aunt with my phony marriage proposals." So this is one of those where I guess Marv looked at Jerry Conway's old stuff, and with the wedding, and Marv said, "You know what? That was really stupid. You know, Doc Ock proposing to Aunt May and everything like that. So I'm going to retcon it." Oh. And I'm going to have, you know, Doc Ock say that he was just trying to con her with these phony marriage proposals. So,
and then this was retconned later.
Yeah, and this was retconned later. So, and now Doc Ock really did like Aunt May, but it's kind of gross to think about. So anyway, but so, and it's. Anyway, Peter gets found out. They weigh him down they knock him out, weigh him down with rocks, throw him in the river. You know, he comes up. The agent, you know, finds him again and leads him to another place. And eventually, it all winds up at this construction site. And Spidey and Dr. Octopus fight it out. Jimbo is confronted by this agent who has been following Peter all around, and Jimbo is scared to death of him, says, "It can't be you, it can't be you," and he falls off, you know, like all classic villain stories. You know, villains like mysteriously, you know, they don't watch where they're going, they back up and they fall off something to their death. Well, Spider-Man saves him, and he confesses that he actually killed this other federal agent the guy's been referring to. Next day, Peter decides to drop in on the widow of the agent who supposedly committed suicide and was murdered. None of this is making a rat's ass worth of sense the way I'm telling it. I told you I was not as prepared for the second one as I was prepared for the first one.
You're fine.
So actually, this is the drunk uncle telling you a story.
Drunk on Diet Mountain Dew. It doesn't take much for JR.
It was a bootlegging.
JR is all like, once the Hennessy get into me.
When you're 53 years old, it doesn't take much to send you for a loop.
By the way, JR, I wanted to share with you. I thought it was kind of awesome that on our Facebook page, Daniel shared the posts that were live with JR for Spider History. He goes, "It's Spider History time with JR! Exclamation point. If you're a longtime fan of the crawl space and you've always, in all caps, wondered what JR looks like, here's your chance." Look at you, rock star. You don't even have a Facebook page.
It's like Christmas come early, kids.
Well, I mean, for the longest time, JR was.
That's why we have this.
Oh.
As monster of the Spider-Man crawl space, though, it was like we had one little.
Oh my gosh! Enigma goes, JR's tongue had a stroke.
That's pretty well what it felt like.
Yeah, but like JR was a Loch Ness monster because he only had one image that he posted on the message board that he looked completely and utterly miserable. It was like, JR, why are you so sad?
Now, a long time ago, I asked every member of the panel to give me a picture, and what did JR do? He got his wallet out and he scanned his driver's license picture and sent it to me as a JPEG. No one looks good in that picture. God damn.
It was a security badge. I don't even think it was a.
It was a security badge. I thought it was
security badge.
Oh, that's funny.
Security badge. Yeah, it was. I was working in. I was working at a different location at the time, and I had to have a new picture taken for this particular badge. So, so I gave him my most solemn look. Because I mean, they had to let me in the building, so I had to look like I was serious.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the issue.
Yes.
Now that I think I've recovered from my stroke, which actually is probably wait a minute, if you're suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes out there, hopefully that was not triggering for any of you. But Spider-Man goes to the widow's house of the agent who was buried. Wants to see how she's doing. Probably wants to make a move on her, because she is widowed now, right? I mean, and she's a young widow, an attractive widow. So, why else would a photographer for a major metropolitan newspaper who actually doesn't write any stories, why else would he be visiting her? So
I
he
like
goes to
that.
visit.
I like that on this page. The kid that she has, like her kid's head is all you see him is like in the corner here and in the corner there, just like he's hiding behind her.
So is this gonna be my new daddy, Mom?
I was trying to.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
terrible.
so
I'm so sorry.
so so she brings she brings out a picture of her dead husband, and it turns out that it's the same agent who's been leading Peter Parker all around on, after Dr. Octopus in this Jimbo character, whatever. He actually was the guy who was killed at the beginning of the story. He was the agent who was he was referring to himself when he was talking about the agent who they thought committed suicide, was actually murdered. And so Peter realizes that it was his ghost the whole time. Woo, and mysterious music and, looking up into the stars, saying the Twilight Zone, and spectacular. And that was Amazing Annual number 13.
Okay.
But it was part 1 of 2.
Okay. Continued in Spec Annual 1?
Continued in King-Sized Annual, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 1.
Cool.
All right. And this time, this is what we find out what Doc Ock was up to. And and one reason I wanted to do this, even though I didn't prepare for it, obviously, is I did want to do a Doc Ock story before he got slotted. Before a Doc Ock story when he was evil Doc Ock and he was spouting all kinds of evil mad scientist cliches, and he was calling people dolts and imbeciles and well, he did that anyway when he was Spider-Man.
He did that when he was Superior and before. So I mean,
yeah. So, but I just
at least it was the only character that he wrote in character, though.
Yeah.
I mean, let's give that props to Slot in that regard.
So anyway, in the prior story, Spider-Man, during the fight at the building site, had actually ripped off one of Doc Ock's arms, and so he was going back. He went back to the construction site to look for it, and found it, and decided he was going to take it back to ESU to study it. And when he goes to ESU, he runs into Marcy Kane. Now, remember, this is around the time of Amazing 193, 194, 195, and a lot of different things are going on. Peter just entered grad school, so we met this whole crop of characters: Dr. Sloan, Marcy Kane, Steve Hopkins, and some other grad assistant, Deborah Whitman. We met all those.
Yeah.
And also, this was the time Aunt May, quote unquote, died. Which actually, when we talk about issue 194 a little bit later, but actually she hadn't quote unquote died by then. But so Peter's going to ESU to study Doc Ock's limb, but Marcy Kane confronts him, and of course Marcy has taken a page from the old Gwen Stacy's book. She's saying, you're a brilliant student, but you're wasting you're wasting your brilliance. Or maybe did Gwen actually do that? No, Gwen accused him of being a coward and tried to slap him. That was what Gwen.
Because Gwen was a bipolar psycho.
That's right. And before long, she was pregnant with goblin babies.
She agrees.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, there she is.
These guys, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, these guys have action figures of girls. Okay.
Yeah, they all have the attention spans of like 6 month or 6 week old cocker spaniels. Get it out now. Let's get it out. Let's work through it. So we can
Actually, I sound more like a gremlin, but go ahead.
I was doing Blue's Clues because I watched that with my daughter. So.
You've got mail. Mail's here.
Are we done?
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is why I tried to say let's steer away from the props and everything. But Zach can't focus long enough to do that. He's got to do stuff with the whole time. And then Brad joins in, and Brad's like, "Oh, wait." It's like putting two Furbies together to talk to one another. It's disturbing as all hell. Meanwhile, JR is trying to be a professional and trying to get through this whole thing.
Go ahead, JR.
All right, take another sip of Mountain Dew here. Anyway, Marcy's ragging Peter, saying you're this brilliant student or whatever, but your grades suck. You don't show up to class. You don't show up for anything. You're a loser. And but Professor Sloan happens to see this whole conversation, and he's, Marcy's ragging on Peter's hind end, but boy, I think she's doing it for another reason that maybe she's not even aware of. Well, of course,
you missed a key reference here in their dialogue, JR.
I did
at the start, yeah, right at the start, right as Peter responds to her. You missed a key point there.
Is that where he talks about the Aunt May's funeral?
That's when he talks about the ESU campus.
Oh, they were.
You see the transgression now?
For what, lady? I'm the one everyone says turned chicken during the attack on the ESU campus by Swarm, the B-Man.
Yes,
nice
a Swarm reference.
Oh, and we don't have the late Mr. Cushing to define who Swarm was for us. So everyone will just have to wonder who Swarm is out there, because Kevin Kent is not here to tell us who it is. Yeah. Anyway,
or they can go back and listen to the first episode of Friday Night Fights.
But don't do that until you listen to the episodes of Spider History first,
which completely missed the whole Swarm thing to begin with.
George. He's he's like a son to me. So
you're no father of mine, Mr. I Hate the Secret Wars.
All right,
getting back to the matter at hand. It looked like at that time that Marcy was being set up as another love interest for Peter. Mm-hmm. But of course, as we know, Marcy was really an alien from the planet Exlaxia or something. Right?
That sounds like something you would take as medication. Exlaxia.
Yeah, or Trilaxia or whatever. She was actually this alien, and she was an old squeeze of Jack of Hearts. And then I think at the end she went back to her native planet. Now that one did not see that one coming.
No. Marcy, I mean, it wasn't just that, but she had the whole thing with the hair.
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah.
I mean,
we had this whole subplot of why she was wearing scarves, and so this went on for a few issues, and then Steve Hopkins played a trick on her and yanked her scarf off, and there she was with this buzz haircut, and her hair was brown, and we got this sob story of her dad having a Marilyn Monroe fetish and making her dye her hair blonde or something like that. And then
she's a primo example of writers not knowing what the hell to do with a character.
Hey, look, it's the modern day Carly Cooper. I'm sorry.
Well, but Marcy wasn't an editorial mandate,
Yeah, so, and Carly was a Mary Sue forced into the story. I mean,
yeah. No one told Peter how cool Marcy Kane was. Old girlfriends didn't come. Mary Jane didn't come up and said, "Well, Peter, I rejected your marriage proposal, and when you were shackled to J. Jonah Jameson, you missed one of our dates, and I don't want anything to do with you. But you ought to go hang out with that Marcy Kane at ESU because she knows where it's at."
She's just perfect for you, Peter.
What have I done?
So Peter is anyway. So he goes to ESU, and he's studying Doc Ock's arm, which suddenly comes to life because Doc Ock is summoning it back, and Peter puts a spider tracer on it, and eventually follows it to the East River. And he and Doc Ock get into this fist fight, and eventually they wind up at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and we find out that what Doc Ock has been after all along is he is planning to steal a nuclear submarine. All right. Yes, that's the Jimbo. That was what the plans. Jimbo had the plans for this atomic submarine the Navy was working on, and he had stolen those from Doc Ock, and Doc Ock got them back. And so Doc Ock gets into his octo sub, or no, he doesn't call it. He doesn't call it an octo sub. What does he call that thing? It's a big octopus that goes underwater.
Boy, I'm looking at a little bit of the art here, and
he calls it octosphere.
Ock has worked out. He has like a six-pack.
I wasn't really looking at Dr. Octopus's chest, but if you want to, go right ahead.
He's usually kind of chubby, but he's buffed.
There was a period in the 80s, where he was. Yeah. Remember his Secret Wars action figure?
Yeah, he was
pretty
at all.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of, just looking at characters, I was looking at Spider-Man's chest since Brad kind of got me started looking at these guys' chests, and he has on page 30, he's got web pits.
Oh, let's
Actually has a web pit. So,
Yeah.
Is there
anyway,
a thing
the-
on there that says
Was it
TM?
designed by Tony Stark?
and you look at Dr. Octopus's octosphere, and he's even got an octopus on it, and it looks like the front of his new Spider Hydra, Superior Hydra octopus shirt.
Boy, that does
he's
look
wearing.
like a Hydra puss.
So who's the writer here? Bill Mantlo. So Bill Mantlo is foretelling the Superior / Spider-Man / Superior Octopus / Hydra / Secret Empire pile of crap. Which, does anybody know what's going on in Secret Empire? I tried to read the first 2 issues and couldn't. I had to have Spencer explain it.
I loved. Oh, let's mention Conway's response.
Yeah,
Let's mention. Did you see that, Jr.?
I saw it.
No, I didn't.
So on Twitter, somebody asked Conway, what did they ask him, Brad? Like, what did he think of what was happening in the Secret Empire with Punisher or something like that?
What do you think of the Cap being bad or something like that?
Yeah, and he said that basically he's just ignoring Secret War and just waiting for it to be over, or Secret Empire and just waiting for it to be over.
I hope a lot of people are doing that because it just did not make a rat. Like I said, I had to have Spencer explain it.
It's a freaking mess, dude. If you're just coming in and just reading Secret Empire, you have no idea what's going on.
What was the crossover before this that was a mess too? What was the big crossover?
The last 5.
Yeah, Secret Wars was before this, wasn't it?
Secret Wars.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a mess too.
Well, it runs
Anyway.
into all those delays and everything, but
Yeah.
Now we'll just get different artists because artists don't sell books anymore. It's just writers.
And Spidey Dude's about to show us his pits. But anyway,
yeah, a little something extra for the crowd.
Oh, yuck.
so after this big fight with Dr. Octopus, and he finds out that Dr. Octopus and Dr. Octopus goes into the octosphere and submerges, and Spider-Man gets fished out of the water by the military. Spider-Man finds out all about the atomic sub. So then he, let's see here. He finds out that Dr. Octopus is going to steal this sub so he can blackmail the world. Spider-Man goes to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, steals the sub and starts taking it down. Spider-Man is there at the hatch, and he goes down underwater, and he pulls off the hatch to get into the sub, and he lets in all the water, and then the sub is starting to sink. And so Spidey and Dr. Octopus have this humongous battle while the sub is sinking, and then Spider-Man says, "Holy cow, we're going down!" And it's like, I'm not hanging around fighting this clown, and I'm not even going to bother to save his butt. He can take care of himself. I'm getting the heck out of here.
Yeah.
So Spidey gets out. Dr. Octopus gets stuck. A hatch closes on his arm. He goes down, and of course, Doc Ock is dead. We know that Doc Ock is dead. He's dead. He's really dead because there's no way he could possibly escape from this.
It reminds me of Spider-Man 2, the movie. Doc goes down in water, drowns, allegedly.
By the way,
I will not die a monster.
By the way, Jr. Spectacular Mike McNulty, who you refer to as Fake Mike, is in our
Bailey's the real.
is in our chat.
Oh, Civil War. Yes, Civil War 2, Mike.
And he points out that Civil War 2. Way to just totally hijack my point, Brad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I read it right when I went to the
Good
chat.
grief.
So
Anyway,
sorry.
yes, he points out that Civil War 2 was the event before this, not Secret Wars, and I have responded that it's already that it's being forgotten that fast.
At least from me, it was.
Yeah.
Sorry, George. I didn't. I spoke.
No, you're not.
I'm
You're not sorry.
I'm not.
You always do that to me. You always try to jump on and head me off at the pass. When
I apologize.
Well, I mean, somebody has to deflate your ego there.
He does it the worst. Be quiet, Joyner. He does it the worst. He does it the worst during Spider Jeopardy. He always tries to beat me in to say the correct answer.
Mm.
You're a monster, Douglas.
Go ahead.
So anyway, Doc Ock is dead, just like old Judd is dead. But I think he shows up though next time in Parallel. I think maybe Parallel Lives, or does he show up before that? But anyway,
he appeared. Maybe the next appearance is during Matt Lowe's. He gets scared of Spider-Man.
Oh, the Al Octopus thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Parallel Lives is in the 90s, so this is
the
79.
Al Octopus thing, that was awesome, which we covered in 2 parts, by the way, on Friday Night Fights.
Oh, I must have missed those.
What's the
That
next
was the
one, JR?
creepiest wink I've ever seen in my life.
So anyway, those were the spider annuals.
Okay. We've got.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. What?
No, I'm going back and forth between screens here, and George was I'm on the delay where George was lecturing me, so
Get used to it.
yeah. So anyway, go ahead, Brad.
There's one annual, but I don't think you're prepared for it with the Marvel Team Up Annual 2. Do you want to do that at a later date?
Well, yeah, because I haven't read it. That's the one where Spider-Man teams up with the Hulk, right?
And that one's
Show prep fail.
no, I know, but that one's really important to me because I consider that one like if not the first comic I ever had, if not, it's one of them. And I still have a beat up copy of it. So I really want to spend some time on that one in the future. So next time we hit 79, let's hit that annual up.
Well, it's here in this essential Marvel team up number 4.
No, we'll spend some special time because that one means so
Some
much.
special time.
I like that one.
We're gonna take it to dinner first, Brad.
No, we're gonna do.
No,
it's going to be a
no,
very,
we're gonna
very
talk
special
slower
episode.
during the whole thing so people can understand what we're saying.
Are
So
we gonna
it'll
take
be
it
a
out
very
for
special issue.
Are we gonna
very
take it out for a
special
nice lobster?
episode.
Are we gonna take it out for a nice lobster dinner and then never call it again?
So, all right, we're going
Good
to the
story.
regular issues. This is a big month for Spider-Man. In July of 1979, it's the first appearance of the Black Cat. Marv Wolfman, Keith Pollard, ASM 194.
Yeah, this
You
is.
almost wish that Ashley were here. She's here in
do.
spirit, though.
She's not. She's out there free to do what she wants. Free from people popping action figures up and doing jackassy things. She's free.
All right, take me through it,
I
JR.
want to do a particular gesture right now, but the Douglas filter is kicked in and I can't do it.
I'm a filter now. It's like Photoshop.
So anyway, I'll take a puff of the Sharpie here and start in on Amazing 194. This is where we first meet the Black Cat, and the Black Cat was, I think, Wolfman originally intended her to be a Spider-Woman villainess.
Yeah.
And then he left that title, whatever, and he brought the concept over, but it turned out to be it became a totally different character. But anyway, we open up with the Black Cat, and she's stealing some police files. And then she goes on a recruitment drive. She recruits this relatively marginally intelligent thug who is very strong. And then she goes and recruits your typical mad scientist / safecracker for some nefarious scheme which he has in mind. Well, we segue. Peter is visiting the Restwell nursing home, where Aunt May is in a nursing home. Yes, he has finally decided to commit the old biddy. She's,
I mean, look at her. I mean, she looks so much different than she does today. Look at that.
Now she's getting shaken down by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
By Samuel L. Fury.
Yeah.
Yep. Now she's, now she's been de-aged about 20 or 30 years or whatever, and all glammed up. And I guess eventually she'll start looking like Marissa Tomei, because after all, the comics now have to emulate the MCU, right?
Well,
Because
she's eventually going to do what's that Brad Pitt movie where they keep getting younger and younger and younger.
Benjamin
She's
Button.
That would be Benjamin
Cocoon?
Button.
She's going to be a Benjamin Button. She's going to surpass Peter at some point.
Yeah, but so everything like in Secret Empire, it's the Chitauri are in Secret Empire now because the comics have to now have to follow the movie universe.
Yeah.
Hey, does that mean we're going to see the Watcher now more often since they appeared in
We
Guardians
won't
2?
see the Watcher. We'll see Watchers.
Mhm.
But we're not going to see Uatu because I think Uatu is with Fox.
That's what I wondered. I was wondering how we could see the Watchers. I guess that's the loophole, right? We can't
Yeah.
see that.
I
one.
think they're
see
shared.
Watchers.
shared.
But
I
we
think
can't see the Watcher.
But during so Peter's visiting Aunt May in the nursing home. Like I said, he finally got tired of the old biddy and he put her away. So he's going to visit her, and so he goes and he says nice things to her or whatever. And then before, I'll go visit the old bat and then dump her off and forget about her. So as he leaves, Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt is watching. and Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt is running this nursing home. And Brad, do you know, you've asked this question before, and we gave you an answer, and so we'll see if you actually remember now.
Spoiler alert: he won't.
Who is Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt?
When did you give me this answer?
Oh, dude.
Actually, I think actually we gave it the first time we discussed this issue back in July of 2009. So we
I remember. Okay. I remember because I read it this past year. It's Mysterio, right?
Whoa! Wow! Give the man a cookie. He remembered.
Only because I read it this past year on Marvel Unlimited when I did the read through. But yes, okay. I don't remember you telling me in 2009, but
well, I do. So anyway,
dude, I just wasn't gonna say anything.
So Reinhardt's watching. So Reinhardt's watching Peter leave, and of course, we right now we all think that Reinhardt is just this nice guy who's running the nursing home, but he's being visited by the burglar because now we first saw the burglar back in issue number 107. Well, actually, we saw him first in Amazing Fantasy 15. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah. But that's not important right now. We saw him return, but he wasn't identified in issue Amazing number 170, I believe, the Dr. Faustus issue.
That's a lot of months in between building this up for 200.
Well, it was Lynn Wein started that subplot, and he was gone 10 issues later. So I think this is Marv just after he got his own stuff going. Thought, oh well, that'll be a great way to lead into issue number 200 if we hold him back a little bit longer and then have the story unfolded by issue 200, which was logical actually. So anyway, so in 193 the burglar appeared and threatened Reinhardt and said, I went looking for something in that old bat's house, and that's when I killed her old man, and now you're going to help me get it. And so that, and then of course the next issue in 195 we find out that Aunt May has died, but we're not there yet. Issue 194. So Peter leaves, and so Reinhardt and the burglar have one of those villain conversations. Spider-Man goes to the Daily Bugle because during this time, as you remember, after Spider-Man and Jonah had been handcuffed together in a nefarious, devious plan hatched by Spencer Smythe, Spider-Man was knocked unconscious, and Jonah had the opportunity to unmask him. Well, Spider-Man, we never found out, we didn't find out what happened. So we're left with, does Jonah know? Does Jonah know? And well, it's bugging Spider-Man as well. So he runs into the Daily Bugle and he wants to get the truth out of Jonah, and Jonah just says, "Don't you wish I have a special surprise for you?" Which I don't know if we ever knew what that was, frankly, because Wolfman left, and Roger Stern finished all his subplots up in issue number 206, and then Denny O'Neil came and crapped over all the rest of them in 207. So, but
some shade being thrown by Fettinger tonight.
Yeah,
as he does often with him. Yeah.
So leaves the Bugle. Now Peter actually is not working for the Bugle right now. Peter was fired, and he is working for the Globe and Barney Bushkin. And in this issue, I believe we meet the mysterious April May, who stops Peter there and says, "I want to talk about your photos because your photos are scrumptious." And Peter's
some quick trivia. April May was almost a Spider Jeopardy question here before last. Okay.
Almost. But she wasn't?
No.
Wow.
Under the chicks category. I thought it was too obscure.
Oh, April. Okay, I got her. Got it. Here's a picture of April May, by the way.
She sounds like a James Bond side piece.
April May.
What's your name? What's your
April
name?
May.
April May.
Yeah. What's your name?
So she was with the Globe, and she and Peter started out on a bad note because Peter kept blowing her off, and I don't know what the Wolfman's plan was for her, because Spider-Man, curiously, during one incident when he was teaming up with the Punisher, referred to April by name twice, which to me was kind of a hint that April was eventually going to remember that and wondering why Spider-Man was calling her by name. But that was just a guess of mine, because like I said, Wolfman, I think, left around issue 204, after 204, because I think this was when Shooter came in, and at that time Marvel had that writer-editor thing going on, where not only the writers were also editors of the titles, and Shooter decided to end that. And
you know, JR, I read an article by a Marvel historian, Peter, is it Sanders or Peter Sanderson?
Sanderson, I think.
Sanderson, yeah. And he said that the original plan for April May was to bring her back as a villain named Facade.
Nice.
Which would have been better than what we got.
Yeah.
So,
which was nothing.
Yeah. So Peter, like I said, that was so there we meet April May, and Spider-Man then Spider-Man's out swinging, and he sees a black cat, and he decides to follow her, and follows her to this gun dealer where she's going to buy an arsenal. And that's when we start seeing her black cat powers. You know, she blows kisses, and things blow up, or people fall into holes, or something like that.
Or people get audited by the IRS. Or
yeah, Spider-Man follows her out, and he confronts her. He catches her, and that's when she decides to start making some moves on him. And so she's got this scrapbook on him, and she lifts up his mask and plants a kiss on him. And this is in Spider-Man's heart now is starting to go pitter patter, because you realize Peter's going through a rough patch. Mary Jane wrote him off once and for all. For the most part, she said, "I'm done with you. I'm only coming back for a cameo appearance in issue like 20 something or other, and then I'm not coming."
I think, yeah,
and then I'm not coming back until Roger Stern writes me back into the story around issue number 244.
And
so Peter,
if memory serves right, this is like the first female villain that's flirting with them. I mean, Medusa didn't really flirt with them.
Did
Princess Python flirted with him.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. This is the first relationship with a super power, though. Super powered person.
Well, she's not super powered yet.
That's true. I take that back.
The black cat powers that she manifested were all actually, apparently the way she explained it was she always went to the scene beforehand, planted explosives or whatever, and then at the right moment would set them off and make it look like she had bad luck powers. But anyway, what the whole gist of the plot is, she had stolen these files. She had stolen 4 files, and 2 of them were on the thugs that she had recruited. A third one was on the arms dealer, and then the 4th was on a Walter Hardy. And so Peter does some research, finds out Walter Hardy is incarcerated. He had a daughter, and guess who shows up to bust him out of jail? And that's why she hired the safe cracker and the thug, and why she bought the arsenal to break her father out of jail. She demonstrates her bad luck powers and blows Spidey up, and we are to be continued. And then we go into issue number 195, which is the conclusion of the story. She gets Walter out of jail, and then she appears to die by falling to her death in the Rocky Shoals. But 10 issues later, she comes back, and from then on, she becomes a rather memorable foil for Spider-Man. She becomes one of his paramours, and she becomes
one of his what?
Well, isn't that paramour?
Paramore.
Paramore.
Yeah.
Paramore.
It's also the name of a group.
Let me see. Paramore. Okay, that's spelled
like Amore. Like Amore.
Okay. Paramore. Paramore is an American rock band from Franklin, Tennessee, formed in 2004. I'll be darned. Okay. I think I'll just stick with Paramore then.
I was surprised that Brad actually knew who Paramore was. That's kind of.
Well, I'm hip, man.
I give up.
Interesting.
Anyway, this is also where Ned Leeds comes and clocks Peter. Oh, no, I was in issue 193. So we have the whole Ned and Betty thing going on too here in the background, and so I mean, but this was during Marv Wolfman's run, and I always thought Marv Wolfman's run was a very memorable run. It only lasted a couple of years, but there were a lot of things going on. You know, you had the marriage proposal, which was turned. Yeah, the marriage proposal that was turned down. You had Peter entering grad school. You had the Black Cat introduced. Our
very own Spectacular Mike has said, wasn't this also the story where Peter is facing some comeuppance for his affair with Betty Brant Leeds? And the answer to that would be yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was definitely it was a memorable time. I just remember really eagerly anticipating the next issue during the Wolfman era.
Yeah.
So.
And at the end of the 195 is when he finds out Aunt May's quote unquote dead.
That's right. He gets a telegram or whatever that says,
"Remember those telegrams?
We're sorry to inform you that May Parker has died." And of course, this resolves itself in issue 200. So,
the just reading the Black Cat figure in here. It just is so different than the crime lord that we have now in the current books. You know?
Stabby McKillerton.
Yeah, it's just she's a fun-loving character that doesn't. It's so out of character, isn't it?
Well, I guess Slott had different plans for her in his notebooks full of fan fiction.
Yeah, it's really sad what's happening. I mean, it was. She was an interesting character, and it was interesting. I mean, like I said, because early on, early in Spider-Man history, you thought of, or Gwen was the good girl, Mary Jane was the quote unquote bad girl. Gwen was the girl he was supposed to marry, and then years later, the situation kind of turns around. Mary Jane is now the wife, the dutiful wife, and then somebody else is the bad girl. And there was a dynamic between Mary Jane and Felicia. I mean, Mary Jane just didn't trust her, and. This, and it was kind of, that was Mark Millar did a pretty good job with that in his Marvel Knights issue, and then Roberto Aguirre Sacasa had a pretty memorable Black Cat story.
I think Mantlo did so much with her in Spec that made her. I mean, Wolfman started a strong origin for her, and Mantlo just continued it over in Spec. I thought.
Yeah, and then Al Milgram's turned it into the crapper.
As someone in the chat called him earlier, Mantlo Damas.
Hornacek asks, "What kind of old folks informs you that your aunt has died by telegram?" What? That's some cold stuff.
1979, though.
No doubt.
Well, it's you couldn't reach people by their cell phones, and I don't think that Peter had an answering machine. And I'm trying to think when I had my first answering machine. Were answering machines common in 79?
I don't think so. It was the mid 80s before we got one. 79 was rotary phones.
Yeah, but before then, like anything like that, like if you needed to get messages, you used like a beeper service.
Oh, wow.
And then you'd call in and they'd say so and so called for you, and then you return the call.
So let's look at some other issues.
My dad was a doctor, and I'll always remember the beeper going off all the damn time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look, Big Watermelon Man was on call.
Yeah.
You want Team Up or do you want Spec?
Oh Lord! Well, let's make an ass of myself as soon, right away. Let's go to Spec 32.
Spec 32. July of 79 came out, written by Bill Mantlo and Jim Mooney on pencils.
Yeah, boys and girls, I'm actually having to bring out the essential issue, and we will go through this together. But actually, this was the one and only appearance of the Great Iguana.
No, he appeared again.
Oh, surely.
In the Amazing Spider-Man 1 video game, there was an iguana.
There have been iguana references since then, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a Stegron iguana lizard story?
Yes.
Oh man, I told you I'm just embarrassing myself the rest of this evening. Told you I wasn't prepared, folks. But
It's
anyway,
all
this
good.
story, this issue number 32, this is also memorable because this is Peter's first day at grad school. And this is when we are introduced to Professor Sloan and Marcy Kane. And Peter runs into Professor Sloan, and then he sees Marcy Kane, and he tries to look up her skirt. That's our introduction to Marcy, is Peter trying to look up her skirt. Because as you can see, Peter knocks Professor Sloan down. He helps pick up Professor Sloan's papers, and then Marcy shows up, and
I'm looking at the panel right now. Yeah,
he's peeping. He's peeping.
Peeping
Peter Parker.
Peeping
Peter Parker. So, but anyway, so Kurt
I think
Connors
he's looking
is
at her
here.
legs, but
Of course,
sorry.
yeah, because he's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's Aunt May's good, but Aunt May would never raise a young man to look up girls' skirts. So, but anyway, the Dr. Connors Dr. Connors was a semi-regular character here for a while too. He was working at Empire State University, so Peter would run into him occasionally, and we find out that Connors has been experimenting on an iguana, another one of his crazy mad scientist stunts, and actually, this is one of those short 17-page stories. So,
they trimmed them down. Refresh the listeners why they cut Marvel Comics down.
Well, they were trying to. I think for a while they were trying to keep them at the same price. I think that's why they went from like 20 pages to 18 pages to 17 pages, and so. And then then they decided to go ahead and boost the price, and I think that's when we got the standard 22, and I think it's been at 22 ever since.
I think it has too. Yeah.
But yeah, this was back in these days. They were only 17. So like when you get the old essentials, like this one here is Spectacular Spider-Man 32 to 53, Annual number 1 and 2, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 13. So there's an awful lot of stories in here, but. Spider-Man eventually, runs into this iguana that Dr. Connors was working on, and guess what? It's now a man-sized iguana, and the next issue is titled "Night of the Iguana," which sounds awfully familiar, but I just can't place why that sounds so familiar. I mean, surely they wouldn't rip off a title of an already established story or anything, would they? So, but anyway, Spectacular Spider-Man number 32. It's again, it's significant because it's Peter's first day at grad school.
Okay.
And so now Marvel team up, right?
Marvel team up. We're going. Let me pull it up. Let's see here.
Also known as Second J. Or I'm sorry, I had a Jeopardy flashback. Pardon me.
Marvel team up 83. We've got him teaming up with Nick Fury.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm looking at an essential, and see, I've got this essential here, and you can tell that this is, I've got the reprints because in these issues, Fury is white, and that's because this is a black and white reprint.
This was the.
I was just gonna say, go ahead, George.
This was the second part of a 4-part story that ran through Marvel Team Up, and it's one of the better arcs in the entire story. And we covered all 4 parts, of course, on Spidey Friday Night Fights.
Well,
we've got Chris Claremont and Sal Buscema on writing and pencils.
Yeah, and this all started, I think, with a mysterious woman by the name of Nancy Rushman, who was really the Black Widow. Who, to be honest, I don't know what's going on here. But and I don't
hey, George, here's
Spider Yoda.
No, George, here's your chance. Take over his show.
Well, I wasn't prepared to because I thought that somebody else was already prepared enough to do it. By the way, you never get this kind of phoned-in material on Spidey Friday.
This entire thing has gone off the rails.
Go ahead.
Spider Yoda.
You're the one that coined that term there.
And I'm the one that took it away from him, and I can do it as many times as I want to. So,
all right, Nick Fury.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so Black Cat loses her memory, becomes Nancy Rushman. Spider-Man gets the hots for her. Nick Fury, Shang-Chi, the Silver Samurai, they all get in a big fight over 4 issues. Black Widow gets her memory back and says, Spidey, maybe you were horny for Nancy and maybe Nancy liked you, but I'm not Nancy and I don't have Nancy's feelings. And so that was Marvel Team Up.
That was the shortest summation.
That was the story.
This is the level of quality content rich coverage that people have come to expect.
Well, since we finished,
rather than make crap up, which I have been accused of doing, I have decided, to maintain my integrity. I am maintaining and I am admitting that I have not read the story. Rather than string you along and try to fool you into thinking that I prepared,
Join us next month, kids, when JR phones in some more crap. History, JR, what happened in this month? Yeah, according to this cover, Stegron's on it. And then we had this other story.
Well, also came out this month in July of '79. Spidey Super Stories 41 with Nova. We just took messages.
Yeah, do you want to not cover that one, JR?
Nova and Spider-Man team up against Doc Ock, it looks like.
I stopped collecting Spidey Super Stories at number 25 because all the comics went to 35 cents and I had to drop one.
Yeah, it was Spidey Super Stories, yeah. And the Electric
You could probably find those in the
Company magazine came out with Spider-Man in it. I remember, did you guys get the Electric Company magazine? You remember that? No. I bought it because there was like a 4-page Spider-Man story in the back of it. I remember that really well. Also, thanks to our friends over at spiderfan.org for giving us this rundown of what came out for what month. So, and it looks like Spider-Man makes a brief cameo fighting one of my least favorite villains, which is Arcade, in Uncanny X-Men 123.
Okay, let's see.
Arcade just keeps haunting you, doesn't he?
I like Arcade better than Mojo.
Brad. Well, I mean, last month we talked about Arcade. Yeah. In the news segment, and this month now he's haunting you in Spider History. I think we need to do a Friday night fight involving Arcade, just to spite Brad. What do you think, George?
Oh man,
I was about to say, he was in a Marvel team up with Captain Britain. Surely we can find out when that was.
I should. There should be some kind of payback for all the little props and all the little crap going on, and yeah, I think maybe we'll have to do that.
Enigma wants to know, JR, how hard is it to research a good fight?
I don't think that's what he's saying.
Oh no! Oh, God.
I don't think he's calling it a good fight. I think basically he's taking up George's mantle here and accusing me of phoning it in.
Well, he's taking a shot at me because I said that that we're actually prepared when we do Spidey Friday Night Fights. And but the thing is, though, is that I have to have a good concept when I cover it because we do context. Brad and I actually talk about this time frame in Spider-Man history and what all the different things that are going on, but what we focus on is the fight. But we always give context, and that means we have to do prep work. And that's the kind of quality that you've come to expect on Spidey Friday Night Fights.
I will gladly pay for JR to make shit up, is what Ninja Worshiper.
I can't make it up anymore because Brad won't let me use that word. Let's see.
I just said it. Yeah,
okay. Well, you're the host, I suppose. And Fake Mike here is trying to prove how smart he is here. Answering machines were being sold in the U.S. as early as 1960. Well, you know what, Fake Mike? They didn't get all the way down to southwestern Indiana by 1979. I can tell you that.
See, there's a difference between things start being sold and when they're actually commercially viable. We had TV in the early 30s.
Yeah.
But they weren't in everybody's house.
That's true. And Al Gore invented the internet in the 50s, but it wasn't available to most of us until the 80s and 90s. So
before we wrap the show up, any other comments from our YouTube people watching this live before we wrap this show up? We've got 20 people, it looks like.
And I apologize.
And no, Enigma, I don't have a headache. I'm just listening intently to these three guys go, through Spider.
We should just be glad he's not total. Just be glad he's not smashed or something. What were you saying, JR?
I was about to say, I apologize for not being prepared for the last few issues, but because of my high ethical standards, I cannot fake it. In fact, I can see the people dropping off now. We went from 20 to 18 to 70. Oh, wait a minute, 18.
They're going back up. All right.
Oh,
Hornacek says this was the best Spider history ever.
Oh, he's well. I was about to say who's writing him the checks this month.
How hard is that, though? Really? Really?
I don't know.
Right,
The Joey Z one was a pretty high bar. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you, gang. For any final thoughts, JR? Good month or bad month? We didn't ask that.
That was a bad month for me. I can tell you that.
Hey, no respect at all.
But-
Yeah.
I don't get no respect. I get
No respect at all.
Actually, it was a pretty good month. I mean, it was. We had the introduction of the Black Cat. We had Peter going to starting grad school for the first time, and as George alluded to, I mean, I didn't read it, but he said it was a pretty good Marvel team up. So I guess I'll want to read it when we're done here.
Yeah, that 4 issue. All the stuff that Claremont did for team up was really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I retitled Marvel Team Up Suck at JR on Spider Jeopardy.
But it's funny though, because I was thinking this whole Nancy Rushman subplot, where Natasha, it's very similar to this the Astonishing Spider-Man Wolverine miniseries, where this girl is trapped in time with Spider-Man and Wolverine, and they Peter and her fall in love, and when they get back to, and he's going to ask her to marry him, but they get back to their own time, and she's completely forgotten him. There's something. A little bit similar, not the same, but a little bit similar.
Cool.
Sarah Bailey, she was a Spider Jeopardy answer.
That's right. I won one of the Spider Jeopardies that year because of it.
Wow.
That was the answer. But I only won because George wasn't participating that year.
A final note from Enigma. Well, they can't all be winners, JR.
Well, I think that's what
Enigma is surly, man. I'm not gonna lie. Enigma's been surly tonight.
that's what my mother-in-law told my wife. When she brought me home for the first time, she said, "Well, Karen, they can't all be winners." So, I'm used to it.
All right, that's a wrap. YouTubers, all 6. We lost a few, JR. Thank you all for
16.
Thank you all for watching. This has been fun. I'll get a little bit more notice up next time when we do one of these, which will be in August.
Popular. I went from a third as popular to the regular show to half as popular and steadily declining. So,
all right, let me hit stop the broadcast.